Hey guys, it's Vanity, so back with Carpet Vanguard, ends of the Vanity weekly reviews. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and sorry. So this time we are covering more reviews from the Buddy Fight collection set. I believe this will be the last week because either tomorrow or this Thursday we're getting Ozzy to Haka, and that'll be the last of the releases. So we're getting some 100 Demons reveals, Ozzy to Haka possibly, but also a new line from Dragon Empire, which just feels really random, but whatever. First up, we have Dragon Knight Faust. Actually, no, wait, today we have Nana cleared, right? Because Thursday is Ozzy to Haka because Nana clear got revealed last week. Anyways, Dragon Knight Faust, Great on Boost by Shield, 0/0, 6k base. Continues essentially 4 sentinels deck and with guard circle. Choose one reason cannot pay attention to battle for streamer cards next to a card from hand discarded. So it's a standard 100 demons PG. It's weird this thing got released a long time after the rest of the 100 demons because typically these are released before like the Buddy Fight deck is revealed, but whatever. Then we have 100 Demons Destructive Power Raiji, or Raiga. Grade 0 trigger order. It's the heal trigger from Danger World. Order ability, choose under rear guards. If you chose a unit, retire that unit and countercharge one. So countercharging for free is nice. And then other abilities continuous during the guard step of your opponent's turn. It can be called a trigger unit that has a 15k shield guardian. Honestly, pretty solid. 100 Demons have a lot of ways of calling back rear guards. So just murking off one of them to get a CB back is really cheap, honestly, for that deck. Not the best if it has a 15k shield. So pretty solid. Moving on, we have a really random support card, which I'm not complaining about. I just find it funny how right after I complain about promo grade 3s never getting support and how Bushy should take their chance with the next, with the set literally directly after the one that is going to end off DZ Deluxe Arc, is that they should make a promo set, and suddenly we're getting all these promo reveals, because last week we got Timestamp, and this week we're getting Bartholomeus, grade 205k show 10k base of Steam Shooter Khan Dadarnu, continues rear guard circle, or soul. If your vanguards are grade 3 regard or Bartholomeus, it gets plus 1 grade and 5,000 power active on first turns. Essentially, if you don't remember what Bartholomeus was, it's basically Dark State's Bastion. Then auto put on guard circle from your rear. When put from rear guard circle into your soul by the ability of your vanguard Bartholomeus in the card name, choose up to 1 grade 3 card from your drop zone, put it to soul, then energy blast 3, draw a card, choose up to 1 unit from your hand, call it to rear guard circle, open rear guard circle, mind you, and choose one of your back row rear guards as grade 3 in the same column as the called unit and stand it. So let me get this straight. This card, by sending itself to soul via Bartholomeus ability, which will get you resources, sends you another grade 3 to soul. Then, if you want to pay extra cost, gets you a multi-attack and a rear guard restand to allow you basically to restand a column. This card is amazing, and the best part is you don't have to call grade 3 from your hand, you just have to stand a grade 3 in the back row. 4 of. Easy Bartholomeus support. This is awesome. Moving on, we have Splendid Ball Play Rate Tree, grade 3 to 9%, 13k base, rear guard, or continues rear guard or guard circle. If your damage has 4 more cards and it gets 10,000 power, 10,000 shield, after player's turns. Okay, I don't think you'd run this in Bartholomeus. That sounds like a 2 of tech because it's a grade 3, so it technically functions well with the deck. But so though, 10k or 23k base, 10k shield once you hit limit break, not bad. Moving on, we have 100 Demon Sorcery Pathetic, grade 0 front triggers, trigger order for 100 demons. Order ability, all your opponent's rear guards lose 5,000 power for the turn, or other abilities during the guard step of your opponent's turn. It can be called as a 15k trigger. Cool, 15k shield, or just straight up minus your opponent's front row. Considering the fact that the trigger orders, I believe, are considered normal orders, that means you play them, your opponent's power drops all the way down to like maybe 8k on the Vanguard circle while you blow them down, and then the following turn you Thundermine your opponent's rear guards to hell. So Pathetic, not a bad card at all, like it a lot. I think it's a solid 4 for the triggers. Moving on, we have 100 Demons Tome of Judgment, grade 0, trigger order, continental roll, draw trigger. Order ability, if your damage zone has 4 more cards in it, counterboss 1 and ditch your entire hand, draw 2. This is 100% worse than the original 100 Demons Tome of Judgment, which was, it required you to have 5 life or less and 100 demons on your board, so you then ditch your hand and then you draw 3. Now that it costs a counterblast, that's even worse, but whatever. Then other ability continuous during the guard step of your opponent's turn because of High Guardian. Not bad, but not ideal either. Honestly, I think you can probably get away with running like 7 crit, 4 front, and 100 demons with a super aggressive deck, considering the amount of times they recycle themselves. But if you think you need draws, then I wouldn't put it more than 2. Moving on, we have Barrier of Equalizing Pressure, Great on Boost, 5k shield, 8k base, continues rear guard during your turn. If there are 5 or more unit of your opponent's cards imprisoned in your prison, all of your rear guards in the same column as it get plus 5,000 power as long as it's on itself. So pretty much the unit directly in front of it, slash directly behind it will give power, but unfortunately he will not. Random prison support card, but whatever. Then we have Record 6G, Great on Boost, 5k shield, 8k base, a continuation of the auto put on guard circle. If this unit is a 3rd battle that turn, it gets 10,000 shield. Don't know why it's specifically the 3rd battle, but whatever. Bushy does Bushy. Then we have Rain Knight Armagel, so Bastion randomly got support this set. Too bad that Toya's not fighting this season, though to be fair, I have like mapped out how many fights that they could have, and there are 4 freebie fights where they're probably going to show off the new Virina, they're probably going to show off the new Leonorn and Seraph Snow, which means there's a chance Toya gets a match, or they just make it Kagetsu versus Mitru. If they make one of those free matches Kagetsu versus Mitru, I'll be happy. happy. Though, to be fair, I also want to see Now get a match, but I'll be happy with Kagetsu versus Michiru. Anyways, act rearguard once per turn. If your Vanguards are grade 3 or greater Bastion, energy blast 3. When it would attack, it attacks all of your opponent's units in the column, and at the end of the turn, retire it. So that's solid because that ability lasts for the entire turn, which means it essentially mercs an entire column twice, which is funny because the reason that Toyo lost back all the way in the original season of Overdress, and for some reason I've been rewatching all of Overdress, was that he lost to Donji because Donji used a combination of Eden and Leonard to column nuke Toya. And suddenly Toya gets a random support card that does the exact same. Just saying, very interesting. Honestly, I would run it just for the idea of that play alone, so 2 of. Moving on, we have Sage of Heavenly Balancy, or Sage of Heavenly Staff Balancy. Love the artwork, love like the Holy Staff with wings. Grade 2 instead 5k shield, 10k base. Continuous rearguard, hand, or trigger zone. If your Vanguards are grade 3 or greater Bastion, it gets boost and +1 grade. So, hey, we got Bastion support, and we got Bar for Me to support this week, so grade 3 support. All of them placed on rearguard circle. Choose a grade 3 card Bastion's card name from Red Deck, reveal it. If you either revealed a card or your Vanguards are grade 3 or greater Bastion, CB1 to check the top 5 for up to 1 grade 3 or greater card without Regalia's piece. Either put it to your hand and shuffle your deck. If you do not put a card to your hand, countercharge 1. So, basically, you guaranteed to get a shuffle, but if you paid the CB, that means you're adding something to your hand. Not a bad card at all. Get you a deck shuffle, possibly get you a card to hand, and it's a grade 3 once you're on a Bastion, so not a bad card at all. I wouldn't put it past more of like a 2 over 3 for Bastion support. Next up, we have Perfect Surgery Ezel. So grade 3 to 9% or 13k base. I've seen this card be called... I forgot what I've seen it be called as, but my immediate thought process was, this is just new Alden, and I don't know why people aren't calling it that, or at least when I first saw it. So Alden placed on rearguard circle other than during the battle phase. CB1 Soul Blast 1, choose up to 1 grade 3 card from your hand, call it to rearguard circle. If you call, you draw 2. It's literally Alden, except 2 differences. A, it cannot be placed during your battle phase with a skill to proc off, so it doesn't initiate multi-attacking. So that mainly only matters for the actual Alden right now, not so much for Bastion. But B, its cost is cheaper, because the other Alden was CB2 Soul Blast 1. This is literally half the cost to do the exact same thing. Fair enough. Then it continues rearguard to guard circle. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater with either Bastion or Alden, the card gets intercept, 5k power, and 5k shield at both his turns. I like how this card works really well for both Aldens, like both separate Aldens, and then both the Vanguard Bastion, because it gets you literally the exact same skill the other Alden had, which all 3 decks would like to use for a cheaper cost. It made it a cheaper cost, kept the skill verbatim. It sucks that for the other 2 Aldens, like the Alden grade 3s that are on the Vanguard circle, that it doesn't superior call during the battle phase, but it's fine. But the fact that it also maintains shield value is a guaranteed 18k base once you hit grade 3 and will always have intercept. Pretty good card offensively, defensively, and consistently. So 4 of a 0. Moving on, we have our new Venitur line. So for all of you that wanted to talk Ikaze line, you'd think it would come out of the 2 Dino Dragon lines we got. No, it's going to come from these guys of all things. So the Caveman archetype. First up, we have Venitur Rokora, grade 0 boost 5k shield, 6k base, all opponent for 0 card, stand sharp, no special. Then we have Venitur Banipi, grade 1 boost 5k shield, 8k base. I love the art here, how he's just like wearing a wolf skin and charging into battle. Auto and Rotopalm by Venitur Maruzus. Reveal the top card of your deck, call it to rearguard circles a grade 3 as unit card, or discard if it's not. If you discard, a soul charge 2. So the deck can run into a soul problem. Being able to basically get you a free soul charge, or basically guarantee you a free rearguard is awesome. Then act drop zone. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater Ventor, and you have no rearguards on your board the same name as him, CB1 call him back to rearguard circle, he gets 5,000 power for the turn. Great that procs during both, like, regardless of your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or not, so you can recycle this to board in case you have to soul blast it, or if your opponent's playing prison and burst the side of your soul before you got to do anything with it. Like, honestly, pretty solid. Get you soul if you need to, get you a rearguard to extra attack with against your opponent, and get you a superior call if you need to reopen your board in case your opponent board nuked you, or in your position where you have to call from drop zone. Not a bad grade 1 at all. I was just maybe a 1 over 2 of them in the main deck, and obviously a 1 of them in the right deck. Moving on, we have a Ventor Mazuris, grade 2 instead 5k shield, 10k base. Auto pump by a grade 3 card Ventor in the card name. Choose a Ventor Banate from your soul, call that card and this card to rearguard circle. Auto rearguard when it attacks. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater Ventor, it gets 5,000 power for the battle. Not nearly as cool as the grade 1, who can essentially call himself back, but still being a 15k swing is great. Considering the fact that only one other card in the deck actually costs CB, I feel like they could have made this thing cost CB, or if they wanted to make this deck really efficient, they could have made it cost energy, but I digress. Then we have Venitur Dina Barada, grade 3 to 9% 13k base. Active Vanguard once per turn, slow bots one to the top 5, choose 1 grade 2 as unit card from other call to rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. That's just a free rearguard. That's honestly pretty solid. And then Auto Vanguard, when it attacks, retire 2 to 5 rearguards, so bare minimum 2, bare maximum 5, and perform all the following based on the number of units retired for the cost. If you cut off 2 or more, it gets plus 5,000 power into end of battle for each unit retired for the cost. So guaranteed, no matter how much you retire, he's at least a 23k swing on his own. If you went full power, he's a 38k swing left Persona Item triggers. Moving on, 3 or more if it gets +1 drive for the battle, 4 or more if your opponent's vanguards are grade 3 greater to end of battle when your opponent will call cards and hand the guard circles become 3 or more at the same time. So essentially guaranteed 23k swing at the bare minimum, possibly with an extra drive check regardless of what grade the opponent's vanguard's at, and if you went all in, forces your opponent to drop 3 cards on his battle alone, which is pretty solid, especially if you aggro your opponent out in the early game, which thankfully this grade 1 allows you to do. All around, Dino Barda, very solid grade 3. Allows you to get a lot of extra numbers really quickly, gets drive check pressure on your opponent's grade 2 vanguard, and once they hit grade 3, essentially turns into Flag Bird, but easier. So, for really great, and he also makes a blow for 1 soul bot, so not bad. And then we have his random support card, which is honestly a really cool looking dragon in my opinion. Spruce Cutter Dragon, grade 2 and it's at 5k shield, 10k base, continues rear guard circle. If your vanguard is a grade 3 greater and do not have any other rear guards, this unit cannot be chosen or retired by your opponent's card effects. So essentially, if this is the only rear guard on your board, your opponent can't touch this. Auto rear guard when this unit attacks. If your vanguard is a grade 3 greater Ventor in the card, it gets 5,000 power for the battle, again, regardless of what it's attacking into. And then auto when it's retired by your ability of a grade 3 greater vanguard. If you have no rear guards with the same name as this card, counterblast it, call it your rear guard, and if you have a Vanguard Ventur in the card name, it gets 5,000 power for each of your opponent's open rearguard circles. So 2 important notes about the skill. A, it does not require your opponent to be a grade 3 or greater, so you get that superior call and probably plus 20,000 to itself while your opponent's at grade 2, while this thing also probably has plus 25,000 to itself. But more importantly, that ability does not require it to be retired by a Ventur. It just gets the power if the Vanguard's a Ventur. Meaning if you want to run this in Varga, you can, which essentially means you have 2 Shuras, which if you, God forbid, Bushi gave Varga a good countercharger, this deck would be broken. Something tells me Varga's next form of support is going to be a countercharger, considering the fact that I'm pretty sure Varga's going to get ambitious. Oh God, help us all. Moving on, we have 100 Demon Sorcery, Ryu's and Kama. Grade 0, order ability, critical trigger. Choose one of either of your Wild Dragon or 100 Demons, and it gets 3,000 power for the turn. So the fact that it confirms Wild Dragons already implies that we're probably going to be using this for Ancient World next set, if they ever do make another Buddy Fight set. And then other abilities can be called as a 15k Guardian. Then we have 100 Demon Sorcery, Ryo Yusho, so another critical trigger. Order ability, choose one of your rear guards. If you do, retire it, and then put the top card of your deck into your gauge face down. Essentially, Merc a rear guard, get a gauge. Again, not that much of a problem, considering the fact that 100 Demons can recycle rear guards like out the wazoo, and then can be called as a 15k Guardian like the other ones. Then we have Knight of Loyalty, gain this grade 3, 10% 13k base, continues rear guard circle. If your damage on 4 more cards, it gets tons of power, 10,000 shield, active player's turns. When you're playing Bastion, just play Grandora, just this but better. But at the same time, if you really need it for your deck generically, you can run it. Is it necessary? No, but take that as you will. Moving on, we have Knight of Thin Gloom Revates, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, act rear guard once per turn when your drive check reveals a trigger unit. If your opponent's vanguard's a grade 3 greater, it gets 5,000 power, then you may soul charge one. Love how it gets the power first, and then it's not a mandatory soul charge. If you're afraid of decking out or seeing another trigger, you don't have to use it. I also love her art, how like she's kind of like Shadow Paladin armor, but her hair kind of gives Royal Paladin for some reason. Then we have Knight of Light Paladin Hermes, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto rear guard when your unit with 2 or more critical attacks retire this unit, give 5,000 power for the turn. You know what? Sometimes that 5k makes a difference between your 2 crit attack hitting and not. So you know what? Very solid 2 or 3 of tech. Then we have Demonic Descent Ninja Xeon, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Pay a gauge to call it, auto and place on rear guard circle, choose a grade 1 or less with a Thunderbolt ability from drop zone, call it a rear guard circle. So you see my point. I know Ikazuchi can call back 2 from drop zone either via a counterblast or a gauge. I know there's a set order that can call 1 back from drop zone by either paying a gauge or a counterblast. And this one's by playing a gauge, get you another rear guard. So, like, you see my point. 100 demons can merc off their own rears and make it back really easily with no problems whatsoever. Moving on, we have Comfort Lamia Petunia. Grade 3, 10% 13k base, continues rear guard circle. If your damage has 4 more cards in it, it gets 10,000 power, 10,000 shield, output turns. Okay, I think we've covered all of them. I remember covering the one for Dragon Empire. I remember covering the one for Brantgate. I think there was one for Lyrical Monastery we covered. So I'm pretty sure that's all of them, because we just covered 3 of them in the same video. Moving on, Propionus Pair, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, auto place on rear guard circle. If your rear guard has a token on it, soul charge 1. Honestly, and I say this as a joke because I really want to bring light to this, this could be used in Ruka's deck. The reason why I say this, if you go back and watch the episode, she has so many different techs, which I can only imagine are one of. To my count, she has the grade 1 dragon who can get 2k on place, and then Energy Blast 3 when you discard from Ride deck to add the card you discarded back to your hand by removing it from the game. She has Bombadil, a card that is meant to support Strahunja. She has Philander. If you don't believe me, check her drop zone when she PGs on Kagetsu's final attack of the game, because she does put Philander in the drop zone. She She's one of the only characters, if not the only character, no, she's the only character outside of Kagetsu, weirdly enough, to actually run the new promo PGs from the Fated Clash, because if you pay attention to every other character in DZ, no one runs those new PGs like Honeycomb Thyrus, Manju, Stroga Arms, except for Kagetsu and Ruka. And more importantly, she has more random attacks, like a card that only activates on Persona Ride, the Cycler, grade 3 that's similar to Sage's. She has so many different cards, I don't know why, but whatever. Moving on, we have Imagine It, a photo session with Marlene, Downer Onisan. Grade 3 to 9% 30k base. Okay, this is honestly a very cute art. Continues Vanguard, Deck, and Soul. It's considered a Love Call Marlene. Auto hand at the end of the battle, the Love Call Marlene on your Vanguard attack. Soul Blast 2 and write this card to stand until the end of the turn, and this unit loses the drive and you cannot ride from hand. At the end of that turn, choose a Love Call Marlene from your Soul and ride it as rest. Essentially, you can only superior ride once, but still being able to attack twice is cool. And then Act Soul. If your Vanguard's a grade 3, grade of Marlene in the card name, and a card with the same name as this card has not been bound this turn, bind it, and then you get all your promo units, get 5,000 power for the turn. If you Persona Road this turn, either Energy Charge 3 or Counter Charge 1. So cool, it refunds most of Marlene's cost for the energy, or gets you full of Marlene's cost for the CB. Not to mention the fact that it's basically Valsplan, but free. Honestly, this is a very great support card for Marlene. Don't know why I had to be promo, but I'll take what I can get. Moving on, we have Soaring Flame Lindworm. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto plays on Rearguard Circle, ditch 100 demons to draw a card. Continues the 100 demon unit that has cards of Buddy Soul, gets intercept and 5k shield after Warrior's turn, so basically Yamigeto can abuse this. And then we have Midnight Delight Zeramon. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Random Felty Rosa support card, but whatever. Auto Rearguard once per turn. I assume Felty Rosa because it's a ghost. Auto Rearguard once per turn when your other units placed on, say, combat during the battle phase. It's not necessarily Felty Rosa. Reveal a normal unit from your hand and put at the bottom. Draw a card. If your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 grade, that place you gets 5 power for the turn. Okay, that works in almost every Lyrical Monstero deck. I had to say Felty Rosa because, again, the ghost theme. But not a bad support card overall for Lyrical Monstero as a whole, so 3 of. And on to our last reviews for the day. First up, we have Feathered Dreams, so the Morphonica intro song. That's going to be a promo with the new Morphonica stuff. So auto input on Rearguard Circle, check the top 5 to choose up to 1 Morphonica card from under, reveal, put it to hand, shuffle your deck. So pretty good, honestly, just a free top 5 search. Then we have the new order, because apparently every time Kagetsu gets support, he's going to get a new Mistress and a new order. We have Alafini Savat Baggy, grade 3 normal order. It's a Lunarite card like the other ones. This card can be played from drop zone, and play if your Vanguard's a grade 3 grade of the Vezirug in the card name, and your opponent's Vanguard is also grade 3 grade. So the only order that requires the opponent to be a grade 3, bind it, choose your Vanguards, and it gets continuous Vanguard. All your rear guards with missions in the card and get 5,000 power. So you only get 4 copies of it. You can't play it like Eternal Thunderbolt for Vermilion, where you can play it once from hand, then play it once from drop zone. No matter where you play it from, you got one use of it, then it gets bound. But on the bright side, it's technically a cheaper Almat, like Aleph Gomani. Aleph Gomani is still better because it still gives like the units that were called by abilities plus 10, but this thing doesn't cost a counterblast and still gives all the base missions that were just normal called or ones that were superior called last turn the extra plus 5, and it doesn't have any additional cost to it, but it does require the opponent to be a grade 3. See it as you will though, but it is an alternate Gomani in case you want it. Moving on, we have the third mission, Helas Helgava. So a grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. The reveal of this in the anime was badass as hell. Auto place on Rearguard Circle other than during the battle phase. Choose a grade 3 card Vezirug in the card name from right deck and reveal it. If you either revealed a card or your Vanguard's already a grade 3 or greater Vezirug, perform one of the following and shuffle your deck. So either check the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 either Vezirug card or Lunarite card from on the reveal, put to hand, shuffle your deck. So either fetch a Persona Ride or fetch one of your many orders. Or if you Persona Road, just skip the first step, Energy Blast 3, and hard search for an order, reveal, put to hand, shuffle your deck. All around pretty solid. It does end up costing a little bit EB, which is really annoying considering the deck wants to use the Moongate often. However, because it does have the alternate ability just to tech the top 5 for orders, it does still have the chance to hit you in order / a Vezirug. So unless you really need to go for lethal that turn, you don't really need to use Energy Basket, which is something I really appreciate with the addition of this card. And then we have Auto Rearguard, the best ability of this thing. At the end of the battle, boost it. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 grade of Vezirug, shove it to Soul, countercharge 1. Vezirug God's on countercharger. Not only that, it goes to Soul. This thing is incredibly better than the weird grade 1 heroic Drago kid that we got on Vezirug's first set, and it's amazing because it's a Mythos, therefore it works with the deck synergy perfectly. Easy 4 of. Moving on, we have our new Arrived at Paradise line. So this is the non-clear line used by Ruka, which, as evidenced by Ruka, you can run a lot of generic cards in this and get away with it because Ruka has so many generic cards. Grade 0 boost 5k show DK based on one who arrived at Paradise Lawson. On a road prime for I can draw a card, standard start and flood it. It's free draw if you go second. Then we have one who arrived at Paradise Yoltil. So on a road upon by one who arrived at Paradise Nocturne. Call to Rearguard Circle and Soul Charge 1. 1 and contains rearguard circle if your world is straight guardian at 5,000 power. So it gets extra power from non-declarer's like whole world gimmick, but also it just superior calls itself and replaces itself with soul, which is very interesting because none of the decks so far to my knowledge uses soul, but I mean, fair enough. I say that, and the card I just revealed ended up getting soul. Then we have One Who Arrived at Paradise Nocturne. So grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto or wrote upon by a grade 3 card non-declared in the card name. You may call this card to rearguard circle. If you do call it, choose a card from your drop zone, put it to soul, and if you don't call it, draw a card. So no matter what, you're getting like an extra card, quote unquote. You're either getting a free hand card or you're getting a free rearguard, but on top of that, you also get a free soul to replace it regardless, and then you can change rearguard. It also gets boost and 5,000 power if your world is straight gone, so 50k booster is not bad. Also, the fact that it's an Axel auto, I just love this thing, it's so cute. Then we have One Who Guides Towards Paradise Non-Clear, grade 3 change persona, 13k base, contains Vanguard. During your turn, if you have 3 or more rearguards with One Who Arrived at Paradise and their card names, your world becomes straight guardian, and he gets specifically triple drive, so it can be screwed over by the Elementary Sanctitude Blitz PG that requires the opponent to have specifically triple drive, but still being able to enter straight guardians for having 3 rearguards, of which your rider line nets you 2 of them, and then gets triple drive, is pretty insane. And based off of the fact of, again, Ruka's deck, you can get away with that with the bare minimum amount of like One Who Arrived at Paradise. Speaking of which, I see why they kind of banned Gather Upon Me, Wandering Souls, and Nectar and Sensationalism, or restricted it. It's not that it's bad, it's just that I see reasons because certain cards could make non-clear very broken if those cards were still applicable with her. Moving on, active Vanguard once per turn. Energy Blast 3, check the top 5 for up to 1 card, reveal it, call it to rearguard circle it's a unit card, or put it to hand if it's Seed Milalate, shuffle your deck. If it's a unit with One Who Arrived at Paradise in its card name, that unit gets 5,000 power for the turn. So you either get a rearguard just for 3 energy, which you get every turn, or you get the specific order, and if you call it a rearguard with a Paradise name, you get 5,000 power as well, which is pretty solid. And then Auto Vanguard, when it attacks CB1, choose one rearguard, stand it. Love how none of this requires the opponent to be a grade 3, so you can full board spam your opponent with 4 attacks and triple drive on an opponent's grade 2 Vanguard. Fun. Moving on, we have Seed Milalate, grade 3 normal order ability, play for Vanguards and not clear on the card name, for free mind you. Perform one of the following: either choose a card of One Who Arrived at Paradise in the drop zone, call it to rearguard circle, or choose one of your rearguards of One Who Arrived at Paradise in its card name, and it gets auto rearguard once per turn. When this unit stands, if your world is straight guardian, this unit gets +1 critical for the turn, and it gets an extra 5,000 power, so basically benefits the multi-attack of non-clear. And then other abilities, auto when it's revealed from your deck by the ability, and put into your hand by the ability of your unit with Paradise in the card name. Not just specifically non-clear, but right now non-clear is the one that can do it. Reveal this card from your hand to draw a card. So basically it gets you a second card to hand, and again, its order ability is free. That can either get you another rear guard, which pretty much gets you part of non-clear's cost for free, or it gets you the rear guard +1 crit plus 5k power, essentially the nerfed version of Nectar Sensationalism. So Seed Milalate, not a bad order, easy 3 of if not a 4 for non-clear. Then we have One Who Arrived at Paradise, Fluttery Lettuce, which again, I'm surprised they gave her this because, and I'm going to keep pointing this out because I find it very interesting because there are very few characters that do this where they run a bunch of generics. But Ruka had, like, with all her generics, I'm very surprised that they gave her this because this card is just essentially a deck-specific Cortor, aka the grade 1 that searches your deck for an order, sends it to drop zone, then allows you to play from drop zone, then bot deck it after you play it. I'm not complaining that they gave this to her because it's really good. I'm just saying that I'm just surprised that they gave it to her. Anyways, One Who Arrived at Paradise, Fluttery Lettuce, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, act rearguard, retire it to choose a Seed Milalate from your drop zone, and it gets continuous, it can be played from drop zone, and when we put into drop zone after playing it, put it to bottom instead till end of turn. So the main difference between this and Cortor is that the order already has to be in drop zone, but on the bright side, you don't have to discard one to search it out from deck, so not bad. And then auto back or rearguard circle, once per turn, when you're using this in comments, it stands by the ability. If your Vanguard or if your world is Starry Garden, stand it. Best part is A, can be stand by any ability, doesn't have to be specifically the Vanguard, and B, it can be the Vanguard that stands, so God forbid Bushy gave this deck a way to stand the Vanguard, Lettuce would work with it. So not a bad grade 1 at all, gets you call and restand when non-clear stands a unit, and it also allows you to play the order for free from drop zone, so solid 3 if not 4 of. And then we have One Who Arrived at Paradise, Weasel. So grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. You can change rearguard to guard circle. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 greater non-clear in the card name and your world is a stray guardian, it gets 5,000 power. And if your Vanguard is a grade 3 greater non-clear in its card name and your world is not a stray guardian, it gets 5,000 shield. So basically during your opponent's turns, a 10k shield. During your turns, 15k power. So not bad. Then auto rearguard in your turn, if your world is stray guardian, put it to soul, draw a card. Every deck gets an inlet pulse in some way, shape, or form. When Bushy has realized, just don't make inlet pulse anymore. Just make a bunch of cards that have inlet pulse skill. Not bad. Free soul, free draw, good power and shield balance depending on what turn it is, so solid 4 for me. And our last card of the day is One Who Arrived at Paradise Leaves Feather Dragon. I did not think this thing had a One Who Arrived at Paradise in the card name because they never brought up in the anime, but fair enough. Grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Auto plus on rearguard circle under during the battle phase specifically. CB1, check the top 3, choose up to 1 card with grade less equal to your Vanguard, reveal it, call it to rearguard circle with Unicard, put it to your hand if it's Seed Milalate. Okay, well, there you go. More cards that can proc out that second ability and shuffle your deck. If you're reward a Stray Guard, and look at the top 7 instead of the top 3, so pretty solid. And then auto rear guard, when attacks, a reward a Stray Guard, and Soul Boss 1 get 10,000 power for the battle. So let me get this straight. There are only 2 cards in this deck that cost CB, everything else is free. There's only 1 card in this deck that costs Soul, and everything else is free. And there's only 1 card in this deck that costs EB, and everything else is free. You see what I'm getting at here. I see why Ruka's deck is so interesting, and I kind of see why they hit Wandering Souls and Nectar Sensations. And not like that would make the deck broken, but depending on what they would give the deck for future support, giving a Vanguard that already has triple drive on your opponent's grade 2 turn, quadruple drive, followed by Nectar Sensationalism on your opponent's grade 2 turn, just saying. Without further ado, though, that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoy. Next week, not only will we have Ozzy the Haka, but we're also going to have Jejeweled Magnus, so 2 quote-unquote evil dragons. I say evil just because Magnus's color scheme makes you think it's evil. It's not evil, but we have 2 powerful dragons coming in next week, so I will see you all then. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us on Twitch, and don't forget to set up your Vanguards.